Hello and welcome back to this series on Fusion 360. In this video, I'll be going over components, how to make them, and what they do. So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
Okay, for this I'm going to be using the piston as an example. Before I get into creating a component, I first want to explain what a component is. The simplest way that I can explain it is that a component is a container that can hold a lot of different.
Now then, I'm going to create another part here. This is the reason why I chose the piston. I'm going to create it right here. And this is going to be essentially a pin that's going to act as another part in this. So it doesn't really matter how big you make this. Just need to do that. Finish the sketch. There we go. I'll extrude this and this. Sure, let's go with 2 millimeters. I don't want it to join. I want it to create new body. There we go. Make the sketch visible again. And then extrude that. Then I'm going to want to make this body invisible so it doesn't connect to it. And I believe it was 16 or 17 millimeters. Let's see if I was correct. Yeah, that's close enough. There we go. So now these are two separate bodies. Okay, now that I've created the pin, I'll show you now how to create bodies. Not bodies, components. There are two ways to create components. Using the new component tool up here, or right-clicking in the menu over here and creating components from bodies. I'll do it both ways. First, new component, an internal component. From bodies, I'll just select this body and click OK. That's now a component. I will now right-click on the pin body, create components from body, and there we go. Now, I want to show you the ability of components. So, first thing is this. You notice I haven't selected the move tool, yet I'm still moving the pin. This is because components, unlike bodies, aren't locked to the grid, well, like bodies. If I were to, say, create a box, I'll explain that in a moment. Out here, doesn't really matter what size I use. You notice that I can't drag it around. That's because it's a body and it's locked to the grid in the design. Components are not locked. Now that thing that came up before, warning about capturing position, that has to do with the fact that when you move a component around, this comes up, this position tab. I have the option to capture position or revert position. Essentially, it asks whether you want to save it in its current position, save the components you moved in their current positions. So say I do that, I can either revert or capture. So if I now revert there, that snaps back. Another functionality of components is that I can copy and paste components. This allows me to instance them. By doing this, it essentially creates a copy that is linked to the original. So say I made a mistake and this hole needs to be larger for whatever reason. You notice that it also changes over here. Instancing, well, creating copies of components allows you to use the same component in multiple places. Think of it like using the same type of screw. You wouldn't recreate the screw each time in your design. That wouldn't make much sense. You'd make it a component, then copy it as many times as you need, put them in place, and there you go. If, say, you made a mistake and the head's wrong, say you made it a flathead instead of it being a Phillips head, you can simply change it on one, and all the others change to match it. Now I will undo all this so that it's a lot cleaner, and I can show you components with multiple bodies. Okay, as you can see, I still have the one component here. If I open it up, you notice that it has its own bodies tab. I'm going to drag body 2, which is the pin, down into there. That puts it in there and in the same component. Now, when I move this around, the pin moves with it. This is how you can get components with multiple bodies in. And this has its own uses, such as creating a wheel assembly or some other mechanism that you will use multiple times, such as, say, a motor controller, heck, even even some other like electrical panels or components. You can create a single component as opposed to having a mess of bodies in one, essentially, section.
Okay, before we continue, I just want to show the drive tool. Yes, I will save that. And this is because I would rather have this pin in a separate design, and I'd rather not recreate it. So, by selecting the drive tool, I can then select a body or multiple bodies if I wish. In this case, I only want the one. I want to create a new design. I could also add it to another design. But I don't have another design to add it to. So this is basically all I have to do for that. There we go. And if you notice down here, this is derived. And if I were to open this up, you notice this little... Okay. Now I'm going to show arguably the most powerful tool, if in fusion, and that's the ability to pull in any design into another one. Let me show you what I mean by this. Oh, right. First, this has to be saved as something. So, I'm going to save it as assembly. There we go. And now that I have this, I can show you external components. I simply drag this in, and here's the arm. I'll move it to there, rotate it there, and there we go. Now, anything that you drag in is automatically made a component that is linked. What this means is that if I were to then open up this design, the arm design, and make any change here at all, such as let's measure this. Let's say we made a mistake in this section needs to be 8mm diameter. If I were to press pull, fine. That should be 10, right? Or 8.5, whatever. And save it. I then go over here. You notice this is now out of date.
Well, I hope you've learned something from this video. I hope you'll join me in the next, and I hope you have a good day.